David Pia.
How are you?
Well, whatever you want to stand, you'll be fine. Just kind of face out.
My name is David Pia. I was the State Senate candidate in District 22, which is all of Trumbull, lower part of Monroe, and a pretty good-sized chunk of Bridgeport. I have a couple of questions first. I think the easiest questions, I'd like to know if 2 weeks after the election we actually know at this point how many votes were cast versus how many names were checked off. It's a real simple equation and seems to be something nobody's been able to give us the answer to. I'd also like to know how, when I read in the newspaper that the Secretary of State ordered a moderator to get out of bed by a state trooper show up at her house in the middle of the night and say, get up, get dressed, we're waiting for you, we're driving you back because you have to count these ballots, because that's your job. How does that same Secretary of the State say to the city of Bridgeport there's going to be a recount, and the city lawyer says, who also happens to be the attorney, I believe, for the state Democrat Party, say, no, we're not. So I don't understand how that works. But what I experienced on election day, I showed up just like all the politicians do at Black Rock School to be outside and shake some hands and meet some people, and I'm told, your name's not on the ballot inside. 2 years of my life in this campaign, and I'm told your name's not on the ballot. So Ed Paquette, who many of you probably know is the most gentle of gentlemen that you'll ever meet, happens to be an attorney, happened to be outside. He said, come on, Dave, I'll go inside with you. Let's go in and see what's going on. So we walked inside the Black Rock School, and the moderator is a gentleman with a cowboy hat and cowboy boots and a cowboy belt, and I only say that because he thought he was Wyatt Earp, and he started barking at us and told us, you can't stand here, you can't stand there, and we said, well, we have a question. I understand my name's not on the ballot, that there's been a problem with the ballots. And I was told, hey, it's only a few. So, well, this could be a pretty close election, how many's a few? And I can't tell you how gentle we were with this guy, because the election's in his hands as far as I know at this point, and he says, got a problem, call the registrar's office. And as you've heard from other people here tonight, that wasn't uncommon between the moderators at different polling places. Yes, he was. So at that point I said, well, I happen to be a candidate, and it is my name, and I am a little concerned, so can you tell us what's going on? And again, I was told, got a problem, call the registrar's office. At that point, Mr. Paquette said, sir, I happen to be an attorney, and we have a legal right to see the ballot that has a problem. Can you show us a ballot? And at that point, we were told, you're not voting, get out. It wasn't a Republican thing, it wasn't a Democrat thing, because Auden Grogans, who was the Democrat running for state rep, had also been there to ask very gently what's going on. She was thrown out. As we're being thrown out of the building and told that we're going to have the cops drag us out, the lady selling cupcakes in the hallway says, don't feel bad, he wanted to throw me out and shut me down too, and I'm just trying to raise money for inner city kids that are needy. God's honest truth. From there I go to Central High School, and I'm telling somebody the story outside, and the moderator from Central High School, I got 2 years of my life in this election, and if you would allow me.
Give me a couple more, but
okay. Because there's some serious stuff that's going on here, and I think that we're all here in 2 years of my life and what's going on in Bridgeport and the scar that we're all over the country. If you would allow me, I would appreciate it. Thank you. I go to Central High School, and the moderator from there hears me telling somebody the story, comes out, she's hysterical, laughs, and says, oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, that's him. Well, let me tell you about her. At the end of the night, it's 10:15, and the tape's coming out of the machine. And she looks at all of us sitting around the tape, and anybody that was at Central High School knows that this is true, and says, I'm just telling you all right now, I'm not reading this out to you. It's going on the wall. You're going to have to read it for yourself. And then she says to her co-worker, says, you're going to have to call this into Central. And somebody there says, the moderator at Central High School, says to her very politely, says, are we going to have to wait for that? And she says, I'm not reading it out, it's going on the wall, you're going to have to wait. At that point, I got a little excited and told her, you know something, I'd been up since 5 o'clock in the morning too, and there was nobody in that room that deserved for her to talk to us the way that we were talking. And then she read out the results. I have a son who has a reading disability. I'm the last person in the world that will ever be disrespectful to anybody with a reading disability. It was very obvious that this woman didn't want to read this out for a reason. Then she read out the results and told me that I had 45 votes in that district when in fact it was 258. My concern is if these are results that are being called in and they're being called in incorrectly, that's a major concern. I have over at John Winthrop, a guy that was there working for me, who said his paper ballots were being delivered and one of the moderators says, oh good, we can start voting again. And this gentleman said, I think you're supposed to have those ballots counted before you are. He gets grabbed physically and then has the cop called and said, we're throwing you out for that. There was another, and I'll tell you, and Carolyn, I met you with the NAACP, and I have to tell you, I'm probably one of the least politically correct people you'll ever meet, and I'll stand here and say that because I know most people don't really have bigotry in their hearts. But what I saw out in front of Central High School disgusted me like I've never been disgusted before. Republicans and Democrats would hold ballots with the candidates' names on them and say, hey, here's some Republicans, hope you'll vote for them, or here's some Democrats, some good people there, hope you'll vote for them. But to see this one particular man, and I'd have to talk to a lawyer before I can tell everybody his name, and I have 2 witnesses, and I actually went to get my camera because I was so disgusted, stand there and every minority that would walk in, and he would look at him and say, Democrat? Let me show you the ballot. See, all the Democrats are on line B, and if you're a Democrat, what you have to do to vote today is you have to go across the whole line and color in all the circles all the way across in order for it to be a Democrat vote. That was the most disgusting, repulsive thing that I've ever seen. Gentleman happens to be here tonight, but we won't go into that either. There's more. I know I need to wrap it up, and I apologize for going on, but I will get you something in writing. I'm going to say to Patricia's in the back, Julia, I watched you people count ballots at 3 o'clock in the morning. God bless you for how hard you worked. I know you were exhausted. They had till they're done. But let me tell you why I'm concerned with that. I have to just finish this one part. I've had 2 years of this candidacy in my life. Okay.
Wrap it up.
All right, I'm going to wrap it up just by saying this. To see these people here and to see red flags come up, these were the official votes. They were retallying. People couldn't see straight. There was a number where every Republican candidate on the working family, or the Democrats on the working family line, had about 20 votes. One guy has 120 votes. Nobody saw it until we had to bring it up. There was a Republican. Everybody else had about 1,250 votes, or 750 votes. One guy has 1,300 votes. Nobody picked it up because these people were exhausted. It did get brought up, and they dug out the tape, and I can't thank these people enough for how hard they worked, but they should have never been worked the way that they were. Thank you very much.
We do have a 2-minute rule, and I know somebody spent a lot of time on it. Try and give them a little extra time, but let's try and do it. Yeah. If you, as I said before, and I remember that, if you have a piece of paper, if you have some statements you want to give in, even if you don't have them tonight, if you turn them in later on to the city attorney, to our last city attorney's office, keep them track of them for us, and then we'll forward them to us.